Very good morning, my dear students. This is Rahul Garg, your science teacher, and we are discussing our chapter number 2, that is heat and temperature. And this is third part of this video, third part of this chapter. And in the last class, we have discussed about measurement of temperature and heat, in which we discuss the units that are used to measure the temperature. We have discussed 3 units. First one is Kelvin, second is degree Celsius, third is degree Fahrenheit. And then we have discussed about the laboratory equipments used to measure the temperature. We have two types of laboratory equipments. First one is clinical thermometer and the second one is industrial or laboratory thermometer. In clinical thermometer, we have two type of thermometer. First one is mercury thermometer and the second one is digital thermometer. And you know that we prefer digital thermometer because mercury is toxic. And then we have discussed the difference between heat and temperature. Now today we will discuss heat transfer. Now what is heat? Student, heat is a form of energy. It is a energy like kinetic energy, potential energy, gravitational energy. Heat is also a energy. Light is also energy and heat is also energy. From sun we get two types of energy, that is heat energy and light energy. Now heat flows from higher temperature to lower temperature. In the first lecture we discussed that when we touch an hot object, the heat transfer from object to our body. It means the heat flow from higher temperature to the lower temperature. Now transfer of heat is done by three different methods, and these methods are known as modes of heat transfer. What are the modes of heat transfer? The method by which heat is transferred from one region to the another is called modes of heat transfer. Now we have three different modes of heat transfer. First one is conduction, second one is convection, and the third one is radiation. See this is a pot, or here this is a fire. Now from fire to this container the heat is transferred by the radiation. These red line shows the radiation. Means when there is no contact, there is no physical contact between the bodies, then the heat is transferred through radiation. Now when heat is transferred to this part, this lower part, but if this handle is made of like metal, then this metal is also feel hot. Why? Because heat is transferred from this part to this by a conduction. Means the conduction is mainly in solids. Here conduction is mainly in solids and radiation is in vacuum or air. Now the internal part, means the fluid that contained in the container, is heated by the method of convection. Means if we have a pot, then it's only the outer surface, that the fluid that touching the container feels hot, and the rest part, that is in the center part, will be heated by the method of convection. So convection is occurred in fluids, and you know fluids are of two types, that is liquid and gas. Liquid and gas both are fluids, and in fluids the modes of heat transfer is convection. First of all, conduction. The conduction carry out in solids and the convection is carried out in fluids like liquid and gas, and the radiation will carry out in vacuum or air. Today we will discuss only about the conduction. So what is conduction? It is the process of heat transfer through a medium or material. Through a medium or a material without any movement of the medium or material. Means in conduction there will be no movement in the material or medium. Like if this is my container and here this is fire, then heat from this part, this bottom part to this part will be flow without actually moving these particles from here to there. So in conduction there will be no transfer of any medium or material. Now a material that conduct heat is called conductor. The material that conducts heat is called conductor, and the examples of conductor are all metals like iron, copper. Now how the conduction takes place in metals? Now you know that if this is my any metal, then if I heat from one corner, then the heat is transferred from this point to this point by the method of conduction. Then how it transfer heat from this point to this? Metals have free electrons. You know that a metal is that which carry free electrons. Means in metal the free electron that travel in the empty space between the atoms very fast and collide with each other. Means if there are my free electron, if this is my free electron, if this is my free electron and this free electron get heat energy from this point, this heat source, and transfer from this to this point, the next point, then the next electron will transfer this heat energy to the next one, and then these electron will gain the kinetic energy from the electrons and quickly lose to the slower one. Means from this point they will gain the heat energy and transfer this in the form of kinetic energy to the next electron, next free electron, and quickly lose to the slower ones. That is why the metal can conduct heat so well. But in case of non-metal, we have no free electron. Non-metal doesn't have free electrons. When its surface becomes hot, the atoms vibrate faster at one end. Vibrates faster at one end. The vibration of the fast atom can push and pull the atoms next to them and make them move faster. Thus heat transfer slows down. If this is my non-metal and I am heating from this side, then heat from this side will not transfer to this side, because in non-metal there are no free electrons, and that is why the net heat transfer will be 0, because this will here the atom will move quickly and collide with each other, which slow down the transfer of heat. Now non-metals are poor conductor of heat. That is why we use the non-metal in the place of handle. If this is my container, then this handle will be made up of non-metal, so that heat doesn't transfer from this point to this. And poor conductor of heat is also known as insulator, and the good conductor of heat are known as conductor, whereas poor conductor are known as insulator. Now the uses of conductors and insulator. First of all, the bottom of electric iron. You know that in the electric iron, the bottom part is made up of iron, that is a good conductor. Whereas the upper part, where we from where we handle the iron, that is made up of plastic, which is an insulator, so that heat doesn't transfer from the lower part to the upper part. And then an ice box is made of plastic, so that heat loss doesn't take place in the plastic. And third example is penguin. Penguins have thick layer of fat under their skin, so you know that is a good insulator. And the fourth one is pan. Pan is made of metal and its handle is made of insulator, so that the heat from the source transfer to the food, but it doesn't transfer to the handle, so that we can easily handle the pan and work safely. And the fifth point is the material used to make the oven gloves contain trapped air, because the air is a good insulator. If there will be air, then heat doesn't transfer, heat loss doesn't take place, and heat doesn't transfer from oven to our hands. And next is the fur of rabbits and some other animals traps air and helps to keep the animals warm. This is the same concept of the penguins or the oven gloves. And the last one is wool blankets. You know that wool blankets trap air and doesn't conduct heat away from our body. And here is one more important concept, that is if we use two thin cloths instead of a thick blanket, then thin cloths will warm us more as compared to the thick blanket, because air is a good insulator. Okay student, thank you and have a nice day.